I'm ready. Let's hit record.
I'm recording.
Odie, I'm disappointed this week. I'm disappointed in us.
Because you didn't go see Looney Tunes the day the world blew up?
Absolutely. That and we started this podcast and the first thing I said is we're a brand and we're all about being absurd. And we have to be absurd, right? Because the world is absurd, right? And this was 2 years ago this month. 2 years ago,
Wow.
We were like, all right, this is absurd, right? We're going to be absurd. But the world's out absurding us on a weekly basis at this point.
What are you talking about?
So we have to step our game up, okay? Like I'm watching the world around me, and it is just full of absurdity that is constantly outpacing the UnPop brand. And I don't want to rebrand. I don't want to do that. So we have to dig deep and get more absurd.
Let's be UnPop squared.
How's that more absurd? Because it's squared?
Yeah.
UnPop?
Squared.
That's just UnPop.
Well,
that's just twice the UnPop.
Yeah, we're
You've
twice.
UnPopped twice. It's a double negative, too. So you would be popping at that point. And we could open up the podcast. If we were UnPop squared, we'd have to open up with, what's popping? It's UnPop squared.
we could do Pop from Community.
Pop. UnPop squared is also, it's technically the equivalent of Pop because you have unpopped twice.
We'll do UnPop cubed. That way it's not a double negative.
Why don't we just do Pop Zero?
Ooh, UnPop year zero.
Why don't we do Pop Zero Crystal and then give everybody cancer with all the stuff we put in it?
God.
I like this start.
UnPop the dark days. Damn.
Yeah. Are you ready to clap?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll wait.
Can we try something else?
Slapping our faces?
Can we high five?
No, it doesn't make the sound.
Yeah, it does.
All right, cool. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I still slap my face. Okay, you did too. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're high-fiving. I noticed you slapped the right side of your face.
Yeah.
I slapped the left of mine. So we are high-fiving long distance via our cheeks. Okay? That's what we did. We did. Welcome back to another episode of the UnPop Podcast. I'm your Capitan Todo El Siempre from the Capitan quarters of the SS Marlin Brando. Kevin
Marlin
Miner.
Brando.
Yeah, that's what I named the ship. You didn't listen to it? It's in the news segment every week. I named the ship Marlin, but it's spelled Marlin, like the fish. It's a pun.
I thought we were naming it after the weird racist guy.
No, it's the Marlin Brando. We're a brand. It's a Marlin. It's a ship. Like, come on, man. There's levels to this.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't Marlin Brando.
I'm worried that I'm over here crafting comedic genius, and you're just worried about being offended.
I'm worried about you offending me, Kevin.
Yes. Yeah. Am I offensive?
I'm Odie Matthews, the chef, cooking up content with the least offensive captain on the 7 C's of UnPop News.
Great.
They, them.
My pronouns are he, him, by the way. I didn't get to those.
Yeah, because I cut you off. Let me explain this for you, okay?
In case anybody wants to know my in case anyone was unclear.
Did you want to know my favorite thing to do, especially at D&D?
What?
Because there's 2 they thems, there's 2 she hers, and there's a he him at our D&D.
Okay.
And so what I love to do is anytime any topic, any conversation, anything is brought up about like women, I'll be like, when one of the women speak, I'll be like, let me stop you there. As the feminist of D&D, let me just explain this for you.
That's a lot of masculine energy to bring to your feminism, bro.
Well, Kevin, let me explain this to you.
What?
I saw movies.
No. What do you do? You're jumping into the movies right away? We do news first.
I was going to ask you a question because we're not going to talk about this on the pod.
Ask me questions.
Did you watch any of The Electric State?
Yeah, I was going to say let's talk about it next week. I didn't finish it. Okay, let's talk about it quickly. I started watching Electric State at your almost immediately at your recommendation. I went home, I ran, I did a little bit of reading, and then I jumped into Electric State. Okay. I watched it at your recommendation, and so I'm on FaceTime with Adriana and her son Bromley, and we threw Electric State on. We're all watching it at the same time. I gotta say, not bad.
Oh,
like not bad.
Oh.
Way too fucking long. I
Oh,
didn't finish it, but the premise is good. The execution, for the most part, is good. I do not believe Millie Bobby Brown as a high schooler ever.
No, me
or
either. I said the
college
same
student
thing.
even. Yeah, she's like and it's nothing against her acting. She's just matured too far for
you just
any
don't look like a high
director to be
schooler
like
anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
and she has very mature features. You know, like
yeah,
there's
she
some
grew
people
up.
in like their 30s that can play teenagers, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But she's like in her 20s and just doesn't like. As soon as she was older, like as soon as we're in the present time in that film, I'm like, oh no, this is fine.
Kevin, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna admit
What?
something.
What?
I fucking hated that movie,
Oh, okay.
and I told you to watch it as revenge for you falling asleep in Rebel Moon Part 2.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't hate it.
Thinking you would not like it.
No, it wasn't bad.
So
I would so far, and I've got about 40 minutes left of this fucking movie. Here's the thing. It's too long. Like, a lot of what's happening could have been done faster, snippier, and whatever. Like we're the directors. But like it definitely could have been done faster, but I just love the general like themes of it. I love like the visual of it. I like the idea that AI goes sentient and like is just like, we're sick of your bullshit, humans. Like that's a really great concept in itself. And then both the robot characters are lovable. I love that they like her let's talk about it next week.
okay, yeah,
because you watched it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna finish it.
Talk about it.
I do actually, because there's a lot of parts that are really good, and then there's some parts that are just dragging it down from being a great movie. Like I honestly, I don't hate Chris Pratt in this movie either. Like
So,
I went in prepared to hate both these actors in this because I've not liked them.
That's totally fair. I kind of thought you would. I think it's just really funny that that the humans fought a war against the robots, and their solution was to just use robots. But then we constantly see like humans with no military technology defeat these drone robots that apparently won the war for us. It's just like
there's.
But we'll talk about it next week.
We'll get into it next week.
Let's get into the news. Honestly, I thought that was going to be a great bit. I was super excited. I was telling somebody about it last night. I was like, yeah, I tricked my best friend into watching Electric State. It was fucking awful. And they were like, why would you do that? And I was like, because he fell asleep in Rebel Moon Part 2, so I'm getting my revenge.
Revenge failed, baby. I don't think
I'm not
it's
good
bad.
at this. I'm not good at this
Well,
at all.
I think at the worst, I think it's going to end up being fun. You know?
I'm curious to see what you think of the ending.
That might ruin the whole thing. Anyway, we're not there yet. Next, TBD, baby.
Yeah,
That's
just,
a little
as
TBD for you.
TBD. As somebody who has an older sister that's like only 18 months older than me, I hate the way that siblings are portrayed in movies. My sister and I, like, we were close, but like, I would never, like, she would, like, there's a scene in that movie where, like, Millie Bobby Brown puts, like, her head on her brother's lap and, like, they hold hands. And I'm like, no siblings in the world do that.
Okay. You might hate me for this. I've had those moments with my siblings. Like
with your sister, like an older sister.
Well, I have a stepsister, and like we've definitely had those moments where we're like like it's not many, it's not like all the time, right? But like they definitely seem like siblings who really relied on each other, and like I've known siblings who are like that before, and like to the point where people are like people question the relationship, you know? You're like,
that's what I'm saying.
They're too close. Like,
but in movies, it's always a little bit weirder for me, I guess. But
I've known siblings who are that close, where it's like maybe they're too close, and then we find out later, no, they're just like they've just always been close, and like some people are just lovey-dovey, you know?
Gross.
And like don't turn it off.
Get them out of here.
I think my family definitely like. I'll explain this real quick, and then we'll get into the news. I think my family surprises people a lot because like. my parents and I still hug and kiss each other no matter where if we're saying bye. Like, it doesn't matter where we are. Like, and not just my mom, but like my stepmom, my dad, like we're all very much like, hey, just in case we don't see you again. You know, like it's not like we're not morbid about it, but we're definitely like, no, always say love you, always give a hug and a kiss, always make sure that you're appreciative of these people who have been in your life and help make you who you are. That's our wholesome bit.
Well, let's awesome, get Kevin. I'm glad you know what it's like to be loved by parents. Let's get into the news.
I have so much love in my life.
That's great, Kevin. That's great.
Let's get into the news. Here's the news.
Yeah, baby. It's the UnPop news coming at you fresh and hot from the command deck of the SS Marlon Brando. Let's see what this week had in store.
The Department of Education has been cut in half. Hold on. I'm spinning this for us. This means that we have a new demographic to welcome into the podcast. Give me a moment. Hello, American idiots. We know that you have not been educated very much. We know you've been failed by an education system that was cut in half by the current president. But we here at UnPop would like to welcome you into our absurd arms. Please come on in and we'll just talk about entertainment and the other things in life that might make you happy while the world burns down and gives you cancer. Thanks, fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, thanks. Because look, okay, what you don't understand, Kevin. Here, let me explain this to you.
I don't understand.
Yeah, let me just explain this to you. Let me drop some knowledge on.
Oh, okay.
On
yeah, hit me. I'm a dum-dum.
yeah, clearly, because when you add the tariffs, right, with the cuts to Department of Education and the Department and Veterans Affairs, and also we back out of like the WHO, we back out of
NATO,
the Paris Accords, we back out of NATO, we side with Russia and North Korea.
We're fucked.
No. See, because that's what you don't understand is, in the long run, everything is going to work out for the better because America will be gone.
Oh, yeah.
And America's the problem because American education's the problem. American society's the problem. Like, you know, the American woke virus. So if we get a mayor of America, all of those woke things that the right hate will be gone and world will be better.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah.
I
didn't realize that was the plan.
Yeah, that's why I'm here to help you.
This is like 3D chess, baby. They're like, you know what? Yeah. We'll be the most American by eliminating the things that make America even livable to begin with.
Exactly.
Wow. Wild.
Make America gone again. That's what MAGA actually stands for.
Make America gone again. Reinstate a king. Have an oligarchy. Fuck y'all.
Oligarchies have worked out for Britain forever. Look how much they loved the queen that just died a couple years ago.
Yeah, they did love her.
Dude, okay, real quick. Sorry. That just made me think of the funny. So this is my favorite tweet on the internet. When Queen Elizabeth II died. No, just like in history, this is my favorite tweet.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when she died?
No.
Dude, so his tweet said, it was like, you know, God bless the queen who, you know, lived a great life. Her country loved her. Like, so sad she's gone. Like, it was all like sentimental. And then he like spaces down and he goes, so sad she won't get to see #Black Adam in theaters this fall.
Oh my God.
The Rock is going away to the queen was promoting Black Adam through a tweet saying it's sad she won't get to see it.
Somebody smother that man with a pillow in his sleep. Somebody stop this man. Somebody's got to check this dude.
Dude, that's the best. That's
wild. My favorite tweet ever actually is a Donald Trump tweet. It was when he fell asleep at his phone and tweeted out, despite the negative press, despite the like whatever negative press, kafefe. And like everybody, we all just lost our minds. We were like,
what's kafefe?
We all knew it was silly, but like within minutes, there were accounts that started popping up with like the wizard kafefe, the barbarian kafefe, and they were all going, I've been summoned. Like,
I love it.
That was my favorite, was like there was some guy, and I'm guessing it was the same guy or two people who had the same through line of ideas, but one was like, One was like Kefefe the Barbarian, and he's like, I have been summoned. What deed must I accomplish? And then like right below it, the comment was the wizard Kefefe, and he's like, you fool! It's not you who have been summoned. It is I. And like they just have like this back and forth
That's
about
awesome.
who's the more appropriate Kefefe for the scenario. One little other bit of news before we get into the entertainment news. I got a fuck you of the week, baby. Are you cool with this?
Fuck me?
Are we separating the podcast yet? Are we doing full on like political side, or do you want to do that eventually? Do we do that next week?
We can do that next week.
Do you want to do it? Or do you want me to do it?
I'll do it with you.
Okay, cool. So one last little tidbit from the political side. Fuck you of the week goes out to Lincoln Heights, Ohio, the police department,
Ohio.
the mayor, and fucking everybody there who did not stop a neo-Nazi rally. Fuck y'all. Here's where the fuck you of the week really comes into play, though. It's in addition to being to Lincoln Heights Police Department and the mayor and every other person who represents the political infrastructure from not stopping a hate speech rally that like waved Nazi flags on American soil, but then also not following up by stopping the KKK from coming in there the following week and distributing domestic terrorism. Like, this is the thing, and this is why this is the fuck you of the week. Nazis are domestic terrorists. The KKK are domestic terrorists. If you look at them with flags and guns and hate speech on their tongues and say, but freedom of speech, this fuck you of the week is for you.
Fuck you.
All right, and that's the fuck you of the week, Odie. It goes to everybody who doesn't have, I'm not even going to say the balls, I'm just going to say the common decency to make being a Nazi at least an uncomfortable thing in America. If you're waving a swastika, if you have a KKK flag, if you're running around with the fucking Confederate flag and hate speech on your tongue, you should be uncomfortable here. Not comfortable, but instead we live, I was saying we're absurd. Instead we live in an America where apparently the worst words that you can have are diversity, equity, inclusion, equality. Like, why are those the bad ones, but then Nazis and the KKK aren't? Why are they more protected by free speech than diversity, equity, and inclusion? Things that, if you just read the definition, you're like, they're good. These are good things.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I don't.
Yep.
I don't need to touch on that. We all know.
Do you want to play the fuck you of the week one more time for them?
You know what? Do it, Kevin.
Fuck you of the week one more time.
Fuck you.
All right, let's get into entertainment news. Okay, next week for sure we're separating the political side. We got to do a separate thing.
Yeah.
Because like I like doing it, but I also want to like get more into those and the nitty-gritty of them.
Oh, me
because
too.
I have so many more thoughts.
I
on
have
it, right?
thoughts and opinions.
Oh, dude, let's do a podcast called Thoughts and Opinions.
Oh my God, we'd be great. I have lots of those.
All right. So entertainment news. The first thing, we both have this. Starship Troopers remake has been greenlit.
Yeah.
Yeah, with director Neil Blomkamp, very famous from District 9. If you've
District
also
9,
seen Auntie Donna's
Chappie.
Big Ol' House of Fun, the Australians from that love him. Or no, the South Africans love him.
Neil Blomkamp is an interesting director to me because he did District 9, Chappie, Elysium. He did the Gran Turismo movie that came out last year,
which is really good, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. So
it was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
He's got a little bit of a different palette in terms of his filmography, and I would even say like doing Starship Troopers, because it's a satire in a lot of ways. I think it's going to be different than his normal stuff. But what I find fascinating about Neil Blomkamp is, for one, incredible director in my opinion, but two, did you know he has been tapped to reboot 2 other franchises that have now been taken away from him?
What is he? The new J.J. Abrams, but not.
But
All right,
better.
What do we got?
Better. He was supposed to do the real Alien 3, bringing back Sigourney Weaver, bringing back all of them at the end of Aliens, and like completely everything from Aliens would be.
They were going to scrap Aliens on, do it
Terminator
with
style.
Sigourney. Okay.
Like Dark
that would have
Fate
been
style.
weird. Okay.
I think that would have been good because Neil Blomkamp's aesthetic would fit in the Alien world, like District 9 and gritty, like Elysium. And then after that, when that fell through because Ridley Scott wanted to do the Alien prequel movies, which are fine. He wanted to do Prometheus and stuff.
Well, those are really good. Those are actually two of my favorites. All right.
So he moved on from that, and then he was going to do a RoboCop legacy sequel. And then with Peter
That would've
Welling
been
coming
cool.
back, it would have been great. And then they took that away from him, so now he's doing Starship Troopers.
Did they take that away from him before they made the other RoboCop movie that's like just okay?
Yeah, that was in between like post the 2014 Joel Kinnaman RoboCop.
Interesting.
And like I think that got canceled like in 2020, I think.
Yeah, and Joel Kinnaman actually did a really great job in that movie. Like that movie's actually
it's not bad.
That movie, yeah. Well, it's kind of carried by Joel Kinnaman.
It should have been rated R. That was the biggest. fucking problem.
No, they definitely should have made because the originals were. Like they definitely should have leaned into that. You can still do TV versions. What the fuck happened to that? All right. What else you got for
Starship Troopers? I think as somebody who really enjoys Starship Trooper, my main question is who do you get for the main role?
I don't know.
I think you get somebody newer. But anyways,
Austin Butler.
Oh yeah, perfect. He can be Elvis on an alien planet.
Perfect. There we go.
These aliens are doing a dance. I can't do an Elvis impression.
What else you got? Because the only other thing that I've got is the fucking puddle of mud thing that I read.
Do you know? No, I don't really have anything for entertainment news. I saw too many movies this week, Kevin.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's get into it. I just want to mention Puddle of Mud's Wes Scanlon, famous for writing the song She Fucking Hates Me, has been arrested, and apparently she really does fucking hate him because it's for alleged felony domestic violence and drugs. Sorry, Puddle of Mud fans. It turns out your favorite grungy singer that can't actually cover Alice in Chains is, he's a bad guy. It turns out. It sucks. The other thing, there was one more thing. Oh, we watched the F1 trailer. We literally just watched this. I don't know how you forgot this, Odie.
I saw it in theaters on Thursday, so that's why I was like, the trailer, not the movie.
Yep. So the F1 trailer dropped this week, the official trailer for it. I think it looks great.
I think, dude, it's the guy that did Top Gun Maverick, which is, and you can tell in this trailer that they're putting cameras on real Formula One cars. Mm-hmm. Like they're probably not going that fast, but it definitely seems like the actors are going to be to some degree in Formula One cars.
Oh yeah, well, and this is in many ways this is a director who has shown that he's very good with legacy sequels, right? Yeah. And that's our topic this week. We're talking legacy sequels. I know you saw a bunch of movies this week, but really, let's focus in. Let's get this list done. We got an UnPop list for people.
Yeah, I saw 3, and I mean, I don't really have. I'm gonna talk about one of them in my jam.
Okay.
The other one was the Looney Tunes movie,
which we're talking about.
It's a Looney Tunes movie.
Well, we're gonna dive into that. Yep.
Yeah, and then the Electric State, which we're gonna talk about next week.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See, all right, perfect. We're covering them all. All right, we got an UnPop list for everybody. Let's. Should I come up with a fucking soundbite for the list? Maybe.
Well, while you think about that, let me drop some knowledge.
Hit me.
So we decided to look at legacy sequels because, by accident on Magnum Opus, I did Space Jam 2, not realizing that the Looney Tunes movie was coming out this weekend as well.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it would be a fun time to look at some of the best and worst legacy sequels because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of legacy sequels, and that's where I kind of want to set. I want to set a little bit of a ground rule for our list in a sense.
Okay.
And here's the only ground rule, Kevin.
You're the entertainment expert on this podcast. What are the rules?
Here's the ground
that I'm
rule
probably going to break
for our list.
Yeah.
These have to be considered legacy sequels to us. That's the only rule. Because the definition of a legacy sequel, like some people are like, it has to be 10 years past the original. The original stories has to have completely wrapped up, and the new story has to introduce new elements that make sense for the character to come back. And it's like, who fucking cares? If I want to see somebody come back 10, like a legacy sequel in my mind has to be, for me, like at least 5 years past the original, and to some extent there has to be like the original has to end in a way where you're like, oh, maybe it'll continue, maybe it won't, we'll see.
Yeah So
I like the world to progress forward for me, I should say.
I did adhere to the 10-year rule, so like that for me, I was like, okay, that's arbitrary, but it also makes sense. Because for me, look at it this way. 10 years is about half of a generation, right, of people. So time-wise, that being a legacy, that means that the people who loved it when, like if it's a PG or PG-13 movie, the people who loved it when they were 10 are 20 now, right? You're a very different person at 20. You've learned so much that I feel like your opinion of the sequel would be affected by how much you've matured, right? So like a legacy sequel being 10 years to me does make sense. Because like, let's say you were 15 and now you're 25. You have a totally different perspective on the world. So like, to me, that's a legacy sequel because it still should bring back into theaters the same people who saw it when they were younger. And then the real test of whether it was a successful legacy sequel or not is how much they liked it, right? Like how much both groups now liked it. Because now you have a new group of like 13, 14, 15-year-olds seeing it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I think the 10 years is a pretty good benchmark.
Yeah,
I think for me, it really counts on how much the world in the movie has like moved forward.
Yeah.
Because like if you saw like a sequel to a movie and like nothing had changed, they were just doing the exact same thing, then it's just a sequel at that point, in my opinion.
True. Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of legacy sequels that do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. So here we go. Let's get into our top 5. You want me to go first?
Are we doing bottom 5 or top 5?
Top 5 first, honorable mentions. Bottom 5, dishonorable mentions.
All right, why don't you start us off with the good ones?
It's time for a list. Some might be good, some might be shit, and I know you just cannot wait. The scale goes garbage, bad, fun, good, then great.
Top 5. Here we go. Number 5 for me is actually, and I'll let you decide whether or not this is correct, but I will let you know if you decide that this is not correct. I will be mad at you.
Okay.
Yep. So my number 5 is actually, it would qualify as a legacy prequel, but I am going to call it a legacy sequel because we see more of the world developed out through the narrative
Is this Fury
of this
Road?
film. No.
Okay.
Better than the original did, even though the original was very animated. My number 5 is Dredd. The Judge Dredd sequel. So it's technically a sequel, but technically a prequel. Originally Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah,
right?
would this be considered a sequel?
So I'm calling it a legacy sequel because it came out 10 years later, and it expanded the idea of the world so much more because a lot of the original Judge Dredd was just kind of set on like relatively ambiguous and unnamed streets of this mega city, right?
Yeah,
but
Mega
then
City 1.
So this actually brings you into Mega City 1 more and shows you what life is really like. You know, like the original Judge Dredd was very cartoony. There's like a big robot that he fights. He gets exiled. He comes back. There's a, you know, they're like, I thought you were dead. You know, like there's all that shit. But this movie with Dredd, it shows who he is, like how robotic he can be, and it gives you a different perspective because it's also about this other more human character who's become a law enforcement officer, and they go into this giant apartment complex that's run by a drug lord, right, named Mama, and as they're going through it, you learn so much more about the world of Judge Dredd in Mega City 1. And not only that, it gives us a better idea of who he is and where the things that he cares about, you know?
Oh, yeah, dude, I love...
Does this count?
I love Dredd with Carl Urban.
Does this count as a legacy sequel? That's my question.
I mean, I guess I've never really thought about that one, you know, because the first one is so I've kind of erased the first one from my memory with Stallone because
I loved the first one when it came out. Loved it as a kid.
I think but now like watching the new one with Carl
Yeah.
Urban, it's like it's light years better.
Mhm.
I don't know if it counts or not, but either way, I love that movie.
I told
so.
you that you have to tell me if it counts or not, and then I'm going to be
Oh.
mad if you disagree with me. Does it count or
How
not?
is it a prequel to the Sylvester Stallone one?
So it technically takes place earlier in his career than the one that Sylvester Stallone made. So Carl Urban is a younger Judge Dredd than Sylvester Stallone is in the original Judge Dredd. Yep. Does it count, Odie?
No.
Oh, God! I told you I was going to be mad. No, this counts. Okay, here's why this counts. 1,
Okay.
it's better. 2, it
Well, that's
fleshes
true.
out the world more. 3, it's 10 years later. 4, it brought in a whole new group of people to appreciate it, and the people who loved the original love this even more.
But it's not a legacy sequel.
Fuck! All right, well, my list already sucks. Your turn. What's number 5?
Well, that's
Go
the
ahead,
show,
hit me.
folks. So my number 5 is and you know what? Here, this is actually interesting. You can tell me if this counts because it's not
'Kay.
quite 10 years. It's 8.
Oh, well, based on everything we said so far, it doesn't count.
Well, that's up to you, Kevin. Or, no,
Okay,
no, it's up to me.
fine.
I put Scream 5.
So it's 8 years after the original Scream.
And it's 8 years after Scream 4, which is a legacy sequel to Scream 3.
Okay, hold on. Here, you're totally.
We're layers
you're-
deep. We're layers
you're
deep,
in-
baby.
You're in the clear because in my mind, I go from the original.
Oh, okay,
Right?
Cool.
Yeah, so as long as the original was 10 years or more before it, that's yeah, so this does count.
Yeah, now the reason I put
See, I'm
this-
nice to you.
Well, that's cool. I'm nice
Yeah.
to you too. If you pick movies
No,
that are
you
legacy
weren't.
sequels, I'll let them be legacy sequels.
You know what? I'll replace it when I do my honorable mentions. I'll
Do
just
it.
pick one. Fine.
Do it.
All right.
But if it's one of the
Why
ones
do you
that-
like this?
Okay, for one, Scream is my favorite like horror franchise.
Yeah.
For slashers and horrors and whatnot. I've always loved the Scream movies. I've always loved the commentary of them.
Yeah.
I think that they're all good. I know that's not everybody thinks that. I thoroughly
Why
enjoy
did you
all
pick
of them.
5 instead of 4?
I picked 5 because
Is it your favorite?
No, my favorite
Oh.
is 1.
Okay.
I picked 5 because it really it reintroduces Westboro. It reintroduces the Ghostface killer. It introduces us to not only the original cast of characters, but now we have kids and other younger characters that are related to or a part of.
There
original
literally is a
characters.
legacy in this
Yeah,
film.
that's quite literally there is
Yeah.
a legacy in this movie, and I think I think it's really good. Like I think in terms of like bringing back the Scream franchise, because like let's be honest, after Wes Craven passed, after he did Scream 4, I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, like Scream is done, right?
It's done, yeah.
It's done.
Wes
And
Craven's
then,
thing.
the two guys that did, I think it's the guys that did Ready or Not.
Yeah.
I think it's them that did Scream 5 and Scream 6.
I don't know.
But yeah, I just think that for what it is, doing a really good job at recognizing the first 4, bringing in new characters, giving an actually good reason of why Ghostface might come back. And I really like the whole idea because it kind of satirizes, the way we look at serial killers in the real world. But if there was a Ghostface killer that wreaked havoc, against a group of people across 3 movies, there would definitely be documentaries and merch and lookalikes and copycat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just yeah.
Cool. Number 4 for me, Alien Romulus. This is a sequel to the original Alien movie,
Wow.
which came out literal decades before this one. I think Alien Romulus, which came out last year, immediately became one of my favorite legacy sequels, being a sequel to the first one. I think they did a really great job reintroducing the beats of the Alien storytelling, the characters that can exist within that universe, the danger that just everything presents to human life in that universe. I think it's phenomenal through and through. I can't wait to see the next one.
I 100% agree. You know what
Thanks.
I really what I really want from Alien. There's an Alien
What?
comic from the 90s, and I can't remember what it's called.
About
but
Ripley's daughter.
this is the one about the space station where the scientist like was a part of an alien colony. He was left there, and then as people come to the research station, he's like doing experiments and stuff. I think it is Ripley's daughter. It's been a while since I've read that comic. I think with Alien, and honestly, maybe any of these franchises, you could say that. I think they get caught up on, well, it has to be around Ripley, right? Like, she's the main character of Alien, and she was in Aliens, so anything we do needs to somehow tie back to Ripley. And I think
I don't like when any franchise does that, when it makes the whole universe about one character. I'm not into that.
I think you could do legacy sequels or not, especially in the Alien franchise. Like, I think Alien could go the way of Star Wars. It's like, give us a ragtag random group of people on a spaceship in the outer ends of the space, and like, you could do anything with it. It doesn't have to be I almost call it the Unami Corporation. What are they called? The main the corporation in Alien.
I don't. It starts with a Y. I forget.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway. So that Alien Romulus for me. Definitely am excited to see the next one. The only reason I didn't put Prometheus is I was like, this is 100% a prequel, not a sequel. Like,
I would have.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. You would give me that one, but not Dread.
Yeah, because that one's definitely a legacy prequel.
Dread's a legacy prequel.
Okay, so my number 4.
Fucking A.
My number 4.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Rambo 4.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm not a big Stallone fan, and
you don't say.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is a masterpiece. Of badness. I like the first Rambo for the messaging.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the second, and I definitely don't support Stallone helping the Taliban beat Russia.
In the third?
In the third.
Okay.
But I think the fourth one...
But the Taliban were the good guys at that time. At that point in time, they were the good guys.
At that point in time.
Yeah.
I really like the
That's
fourth
funny
one.
that we don't talk about that. How Rambo
we really
helped
don't.
defeat Russia with the Taliban.
Yeah. We really don't talk about that enough.
Remember when the big moment is like he gets the rocket launcher?
Yep. I don't like it, Kevin.
It was a different time, y'all.
It was a different
time.
That's why I like Rambo 4, because it's truly what you think that character should be doing.
It's back to its roots.
He's back to being a recluse. He's taking people on tours. He's got a group of missionaries, which I thought was a really interesting inclusion. Like, would you risk your life for this group of people when their mission, could be looked as harmful in some ways, depending on what they're doing? But I mean, I think what Rambo 4 did is what Rambo 3 tried, and that was make Rambo a badass action star, make him, the character we saw in the first one, and actually give him some motivation. Because the end of Rambo 4, when you have the sniper and you have him up on a 50 cal machine gun.
I've never seen this movie, so.
What? Okay.
Yeah, no.
This, for me, I think I saw this movie for the first time when I was in the Marine Corps, and that's probably why when he jumped up on the 50 cal and he is just literally, this might be part of the reason I like it so much too. The 50 cal is like taking people's limbs off. Like, it's like legit. Like, if you're getting hit by a 50 cal machine gun, you're going to get shredded like Swiss cheese. Like, people are getting blown in half. People's arms are getting blown off. Legs are getting blown off.
That's part of the reason I'm excited for the Warhammer universe, because we'll actually see people just getting blown to bits like they should.
I love it. So I think Rambo 4, I haven't seen it in a while, but I think it does its job as a legacy sequel, because it's like, cool. Where would that character go after helping the Taliban beat Russia? Probably to go mope in Vietnam and be ashamed of himself.
Where do you go after defeating Russia alongside the future terrorists of the world?
Exactly.
So number 3 for me is going to be Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows. That is a legacy sequel to every other Sherlock Holmes.
All of them.
But not to specifically the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes. But the reason I picked Game of Shadows over the Sherlock Holmes that Guy Ritchie originally made, which was good in and of itself, is that first one, if I'm not like awake enough, will put me to sleep because there's a fucking second act slump in that first movie that Guy Ritchie made for Sherlock Holmes that is almost unbearable. Like, it is so fucking long, like every time, and I'm just like, okay, we could cut out half of this.
The mind fights.
There's so much going on there, and then finally you get to like the peak action, and like, you know, Rachel McAdams is like hanging off of a bridge, and you know, like Robert Downey Jr. is helping her out and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, we're back, all right, good. But I can't tell you how many times I've woken up during that part. Meanwhile, Game of Shadows is like, yeah, let's get in, let's get out. This is great. Let's have fun. There's some stakes. Yeah, it's fun. All the characters that you know are back, and then we jump off a waterfall cliff. Like, it's great.
With Moriarty.
They're making
it's
phenomenal. I know, because and at the end of that one, they teased, like, because, you know, they, like, he's reading, like, that was a great ending, too. Like, they teased the third one at the end, even though they're like, Sherlock Holmes dies, and it's like, no, he doesn't. Like, I like how quickly it was just like, and no, he doesn't.
And that's what I mean when I say, like, the movie ends in a way where, like, the story could continue, but, like, the main story has wrapped up. So it doesn't have
exactly.
to. And that's the other thing, too, is, like, that movie came out and everyone's like, when are we going to get a third? When are we going to get a third?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, because whenever that third movie comes, it's going to be just a nice inclusion, a nice addition. You know?
Yeah, I agree. All right, cool.
So,
what do you got for number 3?
Okay, so number 3 for me, this might be a little low.
Okay.
But speaking of Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie.
Really?
Yes.
You haven't seen Top Gun Maverick?
Okay, so
I mean, that's okay. Like, I don't think you're missing out.
I've never even watched Top Gun all the way through.
I don't think you're missing out there either.
Like, yeah, like, it's just those aren't for me. You know,
no,
like,
totally.
And it never was. Like, even as a kid, I remember being like, I think so many people, Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick do a thing that has never fully drawn me in, which is the full-on, like,
military
raging boner romanticism of the military. Like, it just doesn't get me. Like, it just doesn't. Like, none of them. Black Hawk Down.
Oh, I love
none
that one.
of these movies get me. Like, even the one where the guy crashes in Siberia and has to, like, what was that one with Owen Wilson?
Behind Enemy Lines.
Behind Enemy Lines. None of those movies, like, because it's and it's very akin to, and these movies don't get me either, is like the Liam Neeson's, like, I've got so many fucking skills, and like these old man, like, raging boner romanticism action thrillers where it's just like the most hyper masculine military or ex-military guy who's like, I know fucking everything and can solve all these problems. I'm like, no, you're just a superhero, man.
You're just
like,
a superhero.
You're like, let's just be real. This is an unrealistic, like, you are the superhero. Got it. You know?
So,
okay, hit me.
Top Gun
Maverick.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what movie am I talking about?
Now that I've explained why I haven't seen it.
I'm going to tell you about the movie I Spy with Owen Wilson and Eddie Murphy, the one you were talking about.
Perfect.
No. Do you remember that movie?
No.
There's a plane in it.
I didn't see that either.
Yeah, you didn't miss out.
Great.
Top Gun Maverick. So when I was like a wee lad,
just a wee lad.
A wee lad. I
Just a
always
wee
knew
lad.
I was going in the military. Like, it was my dad was in, my uncles were in, my grandpa was in, like my cousins were in, everybody in my family that had a penis was in, right?
Yep.
So I knew I was going in, and my dream for a really long time was to be a pilot, because I was like, oh, how cool would that be? And then, you know, I got into high school and I was like, oh no. Negative. But that is why I really liked the first Top Gun, because I loved the idea of, like, these badass pilots with their aviator sunglasses and their code names, and they're blowing shit up and they're flying and blah blah. And Top Gun
not
Maverick,
for me.
Yeah, and Top Gun Maverick, like, I say it's a good legacy sequel because I think it does a really good job overall for me highlighting where the main character Maverick has gone, and I think it really fits his character to have not a real growth, because he really just wants to keep flying planes, and the Navy's like, you could have been a colonel or a general by now, and he's just like, yeah, but I can fly planes like this. and I want to fly
Yeah.
planes. And
Yeah.
then it does a really
He's
good
just
job
like a
of
forever teenager.
yeah, he's just like forever like I just want to fly planes. Like let me just fly planes. Like I'm a good pilot. You need
That's
me.
fine.
And I'm going to prove it to you. And when we fight this non-named, undisclosed enemy that we're going to fight.
I do remember that they didn't like give
No, there's
the
no
name
country or
to-
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. You
And I
know it's
also-
Russia.
Of
You
course
know it's
Russia.
Russia.
Of course it's Russia. It's the Taliban with Russia's planes.
It's Russia, dude. If they remade that movie now, though, they would be like, don't shoot those planes down. Those are our buddies now. the orange guy called in. You can't shoot him.
yeah. And I think the last thing that it does is, in the original Top Gun, spoiler alert, his co-pilot Rooster.
Yeah.
Is it Rooster or whatever his name is?
There's Goose,
Yeah,
Iceman, Rooster,
Goose gets killed.
Gooster.
And in
Gooster gets killed.
Gooster. But in Maverick, Goose's son, Rooster, that's where Rooster comes in.
Gooster.
I like the dynamic.
They're both
between
Gooster. Gooster and Gooster.
Gooster and
Jr.
Rooster. I like that there's a dynamic between him and Maverick where it's like, I kind of enjoy this whole thing where it's like, your dad was my best friend and you blame me for his death, but his death wasn't really my fault. And I don't know how to go from here because if I try to defend myself, I look like an asshole. But if you keep believing what you believe, I'm an asshole in your eyes anyways.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's pretty good, I think. And then Glenn Powell obviously is in it. I love Glenn Powell.
Okay. Great. That's those are your reasons.
I'm glad you haven't seen any
get
of
some-
these.
You get
What's your
some
next
really
one?
in-depth reasons, and then Glenn Powell. All right, number 2 for me. This number 2 and number 1 were hard, but I kind of like flip-flop them a few times. Number 2 for me is Blade Runner 2049.
That's my number 2.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. So so we're on the same page. Blade Runner 2049 is the proper spiritual sequel to Blade Runner. I love Blade One.
Love it.
I love Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
I love Blade
Harrison
Runner.
Ford.
Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. No, so I love Blade Runner, the original. It was such a good movie. I remember seeing it as a kid. It blew my fucking mind. This is probably why movies like Top Gun didn't get me, is because I saw movies like Blade Runner
Way
first.
better.
And
Way
was
better.
like,
Yeah.
and then I'm watching Top Gun and I'm like, it's just not the same, guys. Like,
No, Blade Runner
I
is
also,
so fucking
here's,
good.
as you were talking about Top Gun, I also realized I saw A Few Good Men before I saw Top Gun. So like that also, and like A Few Good Men hit real good. But then I was watching Top Gun, and I think while I was watching, I'm like, there might be war crimes in this, like like
A little bit.
so. And I guess I just lean more into like the war crime thrillers than I do the
can't
actual
handle
like
the truth.
the propaganda films. No, but Blade Runner's amazing, and it's the underlying message about just AI and we were talking about Electric State.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be a living being and have rights? Is like, that's such a huge message, and I didn't fully have the words to articulate it as a kid, but I got it. Like I understood. And the ending actually like made me very sad as a kid. And I remember like feeling a lot for the quote unquote villain of the film and being like, he might not actually be the bad guy. And maybe that's what radicalized me. So Blade Runner, but then Blade Runner 2049 comes in, and it just like, it continues. It kind of does all the same things that Blade Runner does, but it expands the universe more, and it has Dave Bautista as a nondescript farmer.
With little glasses.
Yeah, with cool glasses in the beginning. Like, I love that movie's like, yeah, we have Dave Bautista in this for 5 seconds.
I love when movies do that.
Yeah, it's great. But no, just, and I love Ryan Gosling as an actor. I think this,
Same.
the realm of like Blade Runner 2049, The Nice Guys, Only God Forgives, like that's kind of my favorite Ryan Gosling era, because like he's kind of broody, and like he's still like, he could bring levity to a role if he wanted to, but at the same time like he just does a good job playing that like Drive, right? He does such a good job in that era of film.
And I think, honestly, like, I heard a lot of complaints around this era of film where they're like, Ryan Gosling is really wooden as an actor. And I'm like, Yeah, I could see that. And that's why I think he's great in these roles. I think he's great
for
in
sure.
The Nice Guys because he's a little wooden, because his character is supposed to be a little wooden, and he does that really well. But he's also funny, you know? In his woodenness, he's funny. In Blade Runner, he's a robot.
I don't even like that complaint because, like, my response to that would be, okay, cool, yeah, name another actor who could do what he just did.
Exactly.
Chris
Pratt.
Yeah. Fuck off. I think Chris Pratt is actually back to his home in the Electric State. But no, okay, so Blade Runner 2049, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched either one of those films, watch both of them. They're both masterpieces in their own right. And the way that it ends, and once again, like, the end made me really, like, it was bittersweet. I was very happy, sad at the end of it. And that's a lot to feel for a robot, for an artificially intelligent being. What's yours? What's number? Oh yeah, number two.
Number 2 is Blade Runner. So just go ahead and give me your number
Let's
one.
talk about it again. Let's talk
about it again. Okay, Ryan Gosling.
You know, I really like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, he's wooden. Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Yeah. So
what's your number one?
Here's the other thing. Blade Runner 2049 is one of the few movies I actually like Jared Leto in too.
I was gonna say he's a good villain in that.
I just actually like him as an actor, and I can overlook how weird he is as a person in this film. But it's because he plays a weird person. Okay, number one for me. Wait, hold on. Let's see if we got the same one. Let's say it at the same time.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
The
Mad
Rock.
Max Fury Road.
Oh.
Wait, really?
Go for yours first.
Okay. I thought we were gonna have the same.
You know what, Kevin?
I even brought my Furiosa cup.
We almost did, but you know what? I'm gonna steal this from you. I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, hit me. Yeah. The Rock.
You know how you love
it's your
to do,
sequel to The Hunt for Red October.
You know how you love to do these joke ones where you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to tie into something.
Oh,
so I
this
thought,
is a sequel to James Bond.
It's a sequel to James Bond, baby. Because Michael Bay, when doing The Rock, wanted Sean Connery's character. He has the coin. He said he was a British special agent who went missing in the 70s. It's a sequel, sequel to the Sean Connery James Bond. Yes, he's clapping, everyone. He's clapping. I've done it. He's bowing. Oh my God, he wrote me a check for $1 million.
Here it is. It's $1 million. Don't cash that. Don't cash that yet.
Can I be totally for real with you?
Yeah, hit me.
My actual number one is Fury Road.
Oh, okay, great.
But I thought it'd be really funny because The Rock, in my mind,
no, that's a great bit. No, that's a phenomenal. Okay, The Rock is a phenomenal movie.
It's great.
All right, we're talking peak Sean Connery. We're talking peak Nicolas Cage. You're right. It is. Although it is an unofficial legacy sequel. You got me. You fucking win. I didn't even think of that.
I got him.
Yeah, you got it. That's why you earned applause this week.
But yeah, Fury Road for sure is the best of the best of the best of the best.
Phenomenal.
I think about that movie all the fucking time.
Not only, okay, here's why I think it's the best legacy sequel. Even if you didn't know Mad Max existed, it's the best introduction to that universe, period.
1,000%.
So just seeing Tom Hardy, once again, he's playing a very wooden character.
He's got 46 lines of dialogue.
And they're all like 5 words.
They're mostly him going, water. Gun.
Yeah. Oh, like so many great quotes have come out of that, but I love even just the moment where he points up. He's like, "That's bait." You're like,
dude, that's my catchphrase in D&D. Whenever we walk into a room and my DM is like, "There's this and this," I'll look at the party and I'll be like, "That's bait." Like I use that line all the time. I'm gonna play this clip for my D&D group tomorrow. If this when this podcast, I'm gonna be like, guys, listen.
It's my catchphrase. No, it's so phenomenal. Like through and through. Like the movie really, it starts up with the most base level introduction you could ever get to a character. He literally just runs out of gas, gets beat up, thrown into a prison, like strapped to a car. We get Nicholas Holt, right?
Yeah.
Who's like absolutely phenomenal as an actor, and I didn't know him at this point in his career. Like I had no idea who this dude. Yeah, and he's so fucking good. He makes you love the War Boys. Like he's such a good character.
Hang on, I'm checking something. Okay, I lied. My introduction to him would have been X-Men First Class, but still.
Oh yeah, same. But who did he play in that again?
Beast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Beast.
that was my first introduction, and I like him as Beast too.
He's good.
But so we get Nicholas Hoult. He's in here as one of the War Boys, and the introductions to the characters in this movie over the course of the beginning, which is really only about 11 minutes. Like the first act of this movie is 11 minutes. Like it's not long. It's here's Max. Here's what's happening in this oasis. Here's Immortan Joe. Here's the War Boys. Here's Charlize Theron, and she's going to break these women out of here because they're pregnant, and she doesn't want them to live in these horrible conditions anymore. Here's the stakes. Here we go. That's it. It's fucking beautiful. And then we're right into the second act, which is just driving.
It's a chase scene.
It's driving. It's everything that Mad Max is about. It's driving in weird cars.
The second act is we're gonna get chased up until this point, and then we're gonna turn around and we're gonna do the chasing until this point. You know
exactly, and it's phenomenal. And dude, and I fucking love it. Yeah, and like just the way everything gets introduced. Anytime they're in, the whole movie introduces new elements all the way along while developing out the characters that you're supposed to care about all the way through the end.
Like
it's
when
phenomenal.
the bullet farmer shows up and the people from Gastown show up, you're like, who are these weird people? And I love, and this is obviously like you find this out in Furiosa, the prequel, but I love that you think. Because, like, Immortan Joe, the big bad guy, he calls, like, the bullet farmer and all of them, like, his brothers. And I was like, oh, like, this is a weird mutated family. No, they're just people. And he just calls them brother because he's weird and he's in a cult and he has weird plastic armor.
Yep.
Like, so good.
Just weird.
So good, dude.
But amazing. And, Nicholas Hoult sacrifices. It's the perfect legacy sequel in that it alone could be a film, and going back through my list of legacy sequels, I would actually say, so like each one of these, apart from Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows, could be a standalone film, period. Like,
yeah, I think Rambo 4 could for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me is what makes like a peak level of legacy sequel. Honorable mentions, hit me. What do you got?
I've only got 3.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of these that I like.
Okay.
Tron Legacy.
Yep, that's on mine.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay.
I like that one. And and Twisters.
Okay. Cool. Here's my honorable mentions list because these in my mind are legacy sequels. Feel free to dispute them, but I will say you're wrong. Okay. So I also had Tron Legacy. Obviously, Cobra Kai, which is a sequel.
Oh, I didn't even think about TV
sequel.
shows.
Yep.
I didn't even think about TV shows.
Cobra Kai, the Watchmen miniseries.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that one. David Lindelof.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep. Muppets Most Wanted, specifically going back to the original Muppets
is that Jason
plot.
Segel?
Yeah, Jason Segel. That one's the one where they go to the prison in Siberia.
Yeah.
Not Ocean's 11, but Ocean's 12, because that is the only one that I count. Ocean's 11 was a remake. Ocean's 12
Ocean's
being
8?
A sequel to the original Ocean's 11. No, well, yeah. So Ocean's 12, I think, is the best legacy sequel in that franchise, in that it introduces the female character, but it doesn't overdo the whole heist thing. James Bond GoldenEye is a legacy sequel, and I think that is the best James Bond film, period. So that one wins.
I like Octopussy.
And then I also have so my last legacy sequel mentions are specifically Star Wars Episode 7 and 8.
No.
And Solo.
Okay, no to both of those.
You can dispute them, but I think they're legacy sequels. That's what they are. Because we got the prequels. The prequels came out almost 10 years, or if not 10 years, more than 10 years before. I do, but that's the thing, is I'm looking at the time gap and I'm going, these are legacy sequels, and I would say Episode 7 and 8, not Episode 9, and Solo. I think those are legacy sequels, and I think they did a great job.
I'm going to ask you a question.
What?
And I disagree with you, but let's see. I'm going to see if I can't change your mind.
Okay.
Was Star Wars ever going to finish? Was there ever going to be a point where there was never going to be more Star Wars?
I don't know.
There wasn't. And that's why I don't think 7 counts, because we were always going to get it. It just was a matter of time.
Well, see, I'm looking at this as it falls under the category of legacy sequels. We knew that it would inevitably come, but it's still, and here's where I say 7 and 8 specifically. 7, basically, and this was the biggest complaint about it. It basically it had all the same beats from the original
4.
Star Wars film, but brought in a brand new generation to the Star Wars franchise. It did everything a legacy sequel is supposed to do. 8 totally flipped the entire Star Wars universe on its head in, I think, the best way possible. I love Rian Johnson, and I think the Star Wars universe, losing him as a writer, was one of the biggest losses they ever could have experienced.
Easily.
That movie's phenomenal. So I do think that those are really great legacy sequels. The reason I put Solo in is because it's my favorite fucking Star Wars film of all time, and it's technically a sequel to Episode 3, because they even bring in Darth Maul. So...
Anyways,
let's go to the bottom 5. This is the fun part. All right, what's your bottom 5? Let's go through these fast. You don't really have to justify them. Let's just talk about it. Number 5, hit me, Odie.
Space Jam 2.
I've got Jurassic World. Space Jam 2's on my bottom 5, but it's in there.
So Jurassic Worlds, I almost put on this list.
All the Jurassic Worlds is.
I
All of
almost
them.
put it on.
Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, the Jurassic World, they're bad. They're legacy sequels. They're bad.
Yeah, I mean, I should have put them on because the first Jurassic World, I don't mind. But the second and third one...
the first one's fun. The other two are garbage. So together, telling one complete story, they suck.
Yep.
All right, number 4.
Agree.
What do you got?
Matrix 4.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's bad. I agree with you. That's not on my list. That's an honorable mention. That's a dishonorable mention.
That movie is literally like, at one point, Neil Patrick Harris says to like Neo, he's like, well, the studio was going to make another movie, so, here we are. Like, it's very like meta. It's really weird.
I didn't even watch all of that movie. I got through like the first act and was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
It's bad.
Number 4 for me, Episode 9 of Star Wars is the worst legacy sequel in the Star Wars franchise.
You don't love Emperor Palpatine having a million ships and shooting lightning into the sky?
I don't like. I've specifically
Somehow Palpatine retired.
Specifically for the reason I will always list it as a bad film. Somehow Palpatine has returned is the worst line in cinematic history. Fuck you. You've one of the biggest franchises ever, and that's what you do? No. Out. No.
Dude,
it's one of the worst.
Real quick.
Forever.
I'm going to say this here.
Yeah.
Somebody, back when 9 came out, somebody was like, what would have made Episode 9 not good, right? But would have made that line better? Is at the end of Episode 8, like it cuts to dark, right? And then you just hear very faintly Emperor Palpatine's voice doing the transmission that they're talking about.
I don't care.
That would have at least let people know that Palpatine was coming.
I think that would have made Episode 8 worse. So, no.
Well, I mean, that's hindsight.
Okay. Well, but that's the thing. Is like, yeah, cool. It would have made 9 better, but it would have made 8 worse.
Well, that's the problem. Is like,
and I like 8.
8 makes 7 bad, and 9 makes 8 bad.
8 doesn't make 7 bad. 8 just goes, hey, here's some real consequences for the Jedi. Like, here's what it really means to align yourself completely with a side of the universe that you just believe is wholly good. And by the way, this guy who's learned enough about it, he's now jaded by it. Like, that was cool. Fuck anybody who thinks otherwise. Like, if you align yourself and you're like, no, we're nothing but good. No, Mark Hamill did such a good job playing a conflicted, aged, jaded character who has wisdom to pass on about how you're not just the good guy. Like, that was amazing. All right, number 3, what do you got?
So I do want to talk about this one for just a second. So I mentioned Rambo 4 in my honorable. Rambo 5 gets the dishonorable.
I didn't even know that existed.
So Rambo Last Blood is about what if Rambo was, he had a family and the Mexican cartel wanted to attack him. And what the movie feels like, basically, it feels like somebody wrote a generic old man goes to fight the cartel to get like his wife and kid back kind of story.
It's Gran Torino Part 5.
It kind of feels like that, and it kind of feels like Stallone walked in and someone was like, "Yeah, I'm working on this script where this happens," and he's like, "I'm gonna make that a Rambo
What
movie.
if it was Rambo?
What if it was Rambo?" And
What
it's
if
just
it was Rambo?
going from 4, where like the heart and soul of the character feel like they're back. This just feels like a generic, straight to streaming.
They just suck the soul right back out of them.
Stallone fighting people
just
movie.
A big Hollywood soul sucking vacuum.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I didn't even know that existed. Number 3 for me, this counts as a legacy sequel because it came out 10 years later, and it's not the same exact setting, is the Netflix version of Death Note. This was horrible. And because the Death Note is in America and not in Japan, I'm counting it as a separate story and a
That's fine.
sequel.
I agree with that.
Fuck this movie.
Also, there's no way that's Light and...
His
Yeah,
name's
there's no way.
Light Turner. His name's
Yeah,
Light Turner.
they're not
It's
the
not
same
even Light
people.
Yagami. So
No.
get the fuck out of here.
That movie
It's bad. You guys did a
sucks.
bad job. You did a bad job. All right, what do you got? Number 2.
Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I haven't seen that.
I love the first 2 Bill and Teds.
Same.
Right up my alley with that like satire-y,
Love 'em.
self-awareness kind of scream, genre in that sense. Not
Yeah.
horror, but and then the third one is just basically, spoiler alert for this movie no one cares about. It's basically, oh no, it wasn't Bill and Ted who were gonna make a band and make a song that saved the world. It was actually their kids.
Oh, whatever.
And they are losers now, Kevin. They're losers. They were famous, and then they suck now. They were big rock stars, but now they're losers.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's stupid.
All right. Whatever. Number 2 for me, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This
That's
movie
the best
sucks.
one. That's a
Nope.
good one.
That movie sucks. That movie sucks through and through. I had a friend when I think we were in like middle school or like early high school when this film came out, and they were like, I love Indiana Jones. We should watch Indiana Jones. And I was like, I'm not really enamored by any of these movies to begin with. And they were like, but the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull's coming out. And I was like, okay, well, hopefully that's better than these. Because like even watching those, I was like, the action's good. And I get the like romanticized action hero role, but I was already becoming like disillusioned by that anyway. And then watching him, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Nazis are the bad guys. Hey, we've come full circle on this
my
podcast.
God.
But like, I was like, yeah, Nazis are the bad guys. I get it. And then like it ends and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was fine. Like that was cool. It wasn't epic for me. Whatever. It was a great adventure. And then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out and I was like, what is this?
That's I like the first 3 Indiana Jones a lot.
I'm not gonna say I dislike them. I just like was not like I wasn't in love with them. Like we're garbage fun, good or great. They were good.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 1.
Number 2. Oh wait, you just did number 2. Sorry. Yeah, number 1.
Number 2. My number 1. Fuck. You confused me.
Number 1.
My number 1 is Independence Day 2.
I haven't seen that.
I just heard some screaming. That is the most like garbage. Holy shit. I'm not surprised they wrote Will Smith out of it because he didn't want to return. What is this garbage? Who wrote this? What the fuck is the point of this movie I've ever seen?
Yeah.
It's so bad on every level.
They're like, the aliens are back and we have to fight them again?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the aliens came back for revenge, basically.
That's it. All right.
And Brett Spiner was
that
in a
makes
coma
sense.
since the first one.
Whatever.
But like, they're bigger this time. Anyways, doesn't
also,
matter.
sorry that you have to keep hearing me in the background. I have horrible allergies right now because, the sun came out and we got above 50 degrees in New York and all the plants just went pollen. So I've not been able to breathe all week. And I'm just starting to adjust. I go through this every year where I'm like taking Claritin and Benadryl for a week. It sucks.
I've never had that problem.
Well, I do. Okay, I'm not fucking perfect, Odie.
I don't have allergies.
Before I get into my number 1, I don't have a lot of dishonorable mentions. I told you I learned something about myself this week. The thing that I learned is if there is a legacy sequel coming out and it doesn't look good,
You don't
I
see it.
don't watch it.
Yeah,
like I
you haven't
just
seen any
skip.
of these.
Yeah, like I just skip it. Like the 4th Rambo movie came out and I was like, no. And like even if they end up being like better than expected, I think the ones that look bad just end up being bad. Like
yeah.
I didn't see The Rise of Skywalker for like a year and a half. Like,
Yeah, that
I
makes
just
sense,
didn't. Yeah, like and then even when I saw it, I was like, this is bad. I don't like this. Like, my number one is Space Jam. Whatever the fuck, A New Legacy. It's literally called A New Legacy, and it's not,
and so
at all.
I even
like,
talk about it where like some people have tried to defend it, being like, well, it's not really a sequel. It's a remake, it's a reboot. And I'm like, okay.
No,
and
it's not.
I would agree with you because it essentially, and I say this in my video, it is just a remake. It is.
It recognizes the first one.
But only in, like, the way it recognizes the first one is the way that you could write it off because only the Looney Tunes reference it. And since the Looney Tunes are like, you know, cartoon characters and they also like reference other things that aren't in the universe, people are like, we'll see, like they're referencing it as like a joke. It's not a sequel. I'm like, okay, Google Space Jam 2. What pops up? Shut up.
Yeah. Well,
Shut
and
up.
it is called Space Jam 2, isn't it?
I think it was originally, but I think they changed it to A New Legacy and got rid of the 2. But if you type in Spice Jam 2 to
Spice
Google,
Jam 2,
it's gonna come up with LeBron James.
I hope okay. What's a legacy sequel you hope we get?
I wish we would have gotten the original Space Jam 2. Do you know about this? The original Space Jam 2 idea? It was going to be Tony Hawk. It was going to be Skate Jam, and it was going to be following Tony Hawk skateboarding with Looney Tunes.
That's way better.
Yeah,
that's
right?
already way better.
Way better.
Who said no to this and boo that man? You know it was a man.
Back in Action, Looney Tunes Back in Action came out, didn't do well, so they scrapped it.
Oh, fuck that. I hope that we get a Spice World too, where they're all grown up and and Victoria Beckham's husband makes an appearance.
I want.
No, I'm just kidding.
I want Southland Tales. More Southland Tales.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want more? I don't think we get that. I think the universe ended at the end of that
the ice cream truck
movie.
that floated up, blew up.
Yes, the ice cream truck ends the universe because the guy touches himself.
All right, let me tell you my dishonorables.
Hit me.
Okay, so this one is like a deep cut.
I have none because I haven't seen these.
That's fine. I have 7.
Okay.
Because I see all the bad ones.
Yeah, you do. Magnum Opus.
Did you hear about the leaked Powerpuff Girls live-action Legacy sequel TV show for the CW that was canceled?
I heard about this.
So I tracked down the trailer, and if you can see this, if you're interested, yes, you should watch this 2-minute trailer for a show that's never going to come out because it looks so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bubbles does drugs in LA now. Apparently, that's
Blossom
like
every CW show.
Dude,
it's like,
Blossom,
what if they were teens with problems?
Blossom ran away and Buttercup became a firefighter, even though she has superpowers. Yeah. Anyways, so definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Look up the trailer if you can. I think it's on Reddit.
Okay.
Another dishonorable mention: Expendables 4, terrible.
Okay.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Legacy sequel, terrible.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't put any horror movies that were like not as good as the original in the Legacy sequel dishonorable mentions because there's a whole category of horror films that are like we watch these for the gore and horror and they're not great movies. So like I have a hard time. I think I'm realizing now I've learned multiple things about myself. I also have a bias toward horror where like if it's bad, I just ignore it. I don't
That's
form
fair.
an opinion. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's over there. Like I'll still watch it again someday. Somebody will be like, let's watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre the remake. And I'm like, yeah, fine. I have no problem rewatching those.
I put the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yep.
The Exorcist Believer, and the new Halloween trilogy on my dishonorable. And the reason why is because I agree with you. And I think you're right. And I think that like when it comes to like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, there's been so many that like, you know, it's basically like satirized itself and to a small degree, right? Like Jason goes to space.
Jason in space like actually like recognizes how silly it is.
Exactly.
And, you know, like, and any of these movies that have done that, they always like they get silly. Like Freddy vs. Jason has more comedy in it than it does.
Oh, for sure.
Than it does horror. Like you're watching it because you're literally, and the movies recognize it. They're like, you're watching this for the kills, bro.
It's just because
like,
it's Freddy versus Jason.
And the reason, and that's why I don't think they end up being bad because the worst that they can be is fun.
And see, that's why I put the legacy sequels on here as bad, because if you're going to be like, okay, we're going to do a direct sequel to the first Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay, that shit better be fucking good then, because at least with the other Halloween timeline, like Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 and H2O and all of them, you can enjoy those for what they are, because you're like, okay, like none of them really connect. It's whatever. Yeah. But like The Exorcist Believer, you're talking about a movie that like redefined possession horror. And
dude,
your legacy sequel is the equivalent of the throw up in that movie.
For me, the worst a legacy sequel for a horror film gets is fun. I think that's why. Like none of them are garbage.
These aren't fun though.
Oh, I do have fun with them still. Like,
see, I did not have fun with these.
Horror was like, okay. Horror was my original favorite genre of film. Like as a kid, when I finally like was old enough, like when you start to form like an ego is around about 5-6 years old. That's when I first started falling in love with horror as a genre. So like I'm coming out of like the kid years where your parents are in complete control of everything that you watch, and the first thing that I fall in love with is horror. So I think any horror film, regardless of how bad it is, I kind of leave it. I'm like, yeah, that was bad, but like it was some good kills though.
I think I'm like that for most of them. I think the legacy sequels got to me because I was expecting more. I am excited, and I'll give you my last two dishonorable.
Hit
the
me.
Peter Dinklage, Elijah Wood, Toxic Avenger is finally going to get released in
Thank
August
God.
this year, right? Like,
yeah, that'll be nice.
Fuck. Anyways, my last two dishonorables are Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Two terrible Indiana Jones.
Oh, so we're kind of on the same page on that. Yeah.
No, we are. I mean,
cool.
Yeah.
You gave me two more honorable mentions that I wanted to bring up because I forgot to mention these, but 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street are amazing.
True,
and those are legacy sequels. Yes, and they do recognize the fucking show.
Because Johnny Depp gets blown up, or no, he gets shot in that.
Exactly.
Right.
So those are actually legacy sequels, and then the other one was a horror movie that was a legacy sequel that you brought up, but I can't remember. Oh, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is also a legacy sequel, and that is an honorable mention. It's very good.
I agree. Hellraiser's a good one. I just think that the Halloween, Exorcist, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre ones were a huge letdown.
I still had fun. So,
hey, that's all that counts.
All right. What's your jam this week, baby?
My jam.
What do you got? I got some jams for you.
Is a little movie called
Electric State.
Black Bag, which is
you saw that
theaters
this week.
Yeah, it's in theaters right now. It's Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett.
Okay.
It's essentially what it's about is, I don't remember the name. It's not like MI5, but this married couple work at like this spy agency where like some people are spies and some people are like behind the computers. It's like a special agency kind of place.
Yeah.
And Michael Fassbender's character, his specialty is getting truth out of people, so he's really skilled.
Yeah, you texted me while you were watching this, and
Yes.
you went, "This got good." Okay,
Yeah. It's good. It's up there for me this year.
Hell yeah.
His specialty is like being able to tell when people are lying. So just having a conversation with you. He sets up a lot of like in the movie, like he does this like dinner with the main suspects, and he does polygraphs. He's like really good at telling when people are lying and coming up with plans. His wife.
Wait, he does polygraphs?
Yeah, they like hook people
Why
up to
are we
polygraphs.
still doing polygraphs?
It's like a futuristic polygraph. In the sense of like
whatever, keep
they're
going.
like hooked
Keep
up
going.
to like a bunch of stuff, but it doesn't matter.
Keep going.
And so basically, this agency has like the whereabouts to this thing called Severance. Not the show on Apple TV.
The show?
Not the show.
We have access to Severance season 3. Everybody wants it.
They're dying to get their hands on it.
They're clamoring. They don't want another 3-year wait.
So,
Severance will eventually be a legacy sequel.
They're only doing 4 seasons, so
I know, but I'm when's season 4 going to come out? 10 years after the original, you know? Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So
Attack
basically,
on Titan. Okay, sorry.
Anyways, somebody steals this thing called Severance, which basically can cause like nuclear reactors to melt down. So causing political disrupt, which I like. It's not like a nuclear football. And basically,
it's like a hunt for Red October now. There's a nuclear threat.
Yeah, kind of, but like
Cool.
not into the world.
But it's
which I
not
like.
Cuba. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. And so Michael Fassbender's character is given a list of 5 names of who could have stolen the device, and one of those names is his wife.
Yep.
And the movie just kind of goes through. He finds.
Yeah.
It's a spy whodunit, and that's.
okay.
I love whodunit movies. Like, I'm a huge fan of murder mysteries. They're one of my favorite things to watch because I love the idea of trying to figure out who did it, right? And so this, honestly, I assumed, and I'm not even going to say that because I think people should watch this with no spoilers. What I thought was going to happen in this movie, when it didn't, that's when I texted you, oh, this just got good.
Oh, good.
Because it threw a curveball at me that I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, cool.
Let's
I
go.
love that. All right,
And
I'll go see that.
I honestly, like when I texted you at one point that it was boring.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I jumped
It's
the
a
gun.
slow burn.
There's a moment where these two characters are basically just going back and forth for like 5 minutes of screen time about how much they hate each other, but they're dating. And it just felt like, I was like, what is the point of this? But then as more stuff came and went, I was like, okay. This one, wow, I really liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Michael Fassbender's fucking great too, dude.
Cool. You got any other jams, or is that's the jam?
I think I'm gonna leave it at that one.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? No, actually, hold on. I watched 2 episodes of a show on Hulu called Paradise with Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden. If you know nothing about this show, watch the first episode. Email in mysecretpoweris@gmail.com. I'm curious what people think, because at the end of the first episode there's a reveal, and I'm going to tell you off pod because I don't think you'll care. But there was a reveal in it, and I was like, interesting. And the main premise is a Secret Service agent has to investigate the murder of a president, right? And so just having that knowledge, go into the first episode, see the twist. Let me know. I'm so curious what people are going to think of the twist, because I saw it and I was like, okay, this is fucking weird.
I might check this out before next week and then get back to you.
I'm going to try to finish it before next week. It's done. It's 8 episodes. I'm going to try to finish it before the next episode because I want to talk about it.
I got a few jams for you this week. I got 2 music jams. One I literally just heard last night. It, like, popped up on my Instagram recommendations, and this guy is fucking hilarious. He goes by the name Scoochie Boochie. Have you heard of this guy? No, it's not a catchphrase that Pauly Shore came up with. It's a dude, and he has a song called I Have Sex, and everybody needs to listen to it. It's stupid. For being a comedic rap song, it should not be this good. Like, it's actually, like, the lyrics, the way that he is doing wordplay is too good for just parody. That's all I'll say. Like, this guy, he's like the Weird Al of white comedy rap. Like, this dude is crushing it. Way better. Like, I'm not going to say better than Hobo. Like, remember everybody got big up on Hobo Johnson for a minute? Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah. That's everybody's reaction when you mention Hobo Johnson. They're like, oh, yeah. He had that song about scones. Yeah, all right. Like, yeah. But no, it's like that, but not as emo. Like, it's just check it out. It's good. So Scoochie Boochie's song I Have Sex is one of my jams this week as of last night. My second musical jam is New Fucking Sleep Token.
Oh, dude, that new song is so good.
So good. Sleep Token, if anybody who's listening to us on this podcast has not listened to them,
listen
and
to them.
Literally any genre of music ever.
Right now.
Check
Turn
them
this
out.
off and put them
Like,
on.
Yeah, the song Emergence is amazing. I love how they're doing things. They did their little puzzle a few weeks ago. They made their fan base, like, I love that, like, they generate hype the way no one else does. Like, they're like, yeah, hey, solve this puzzle. By the way, the coordinates are for an observatory in the U.S. And so everybody's like, okay, what's happening on the 13th? A blood moon. All right, cool. New song on the 13th, I guess. And then, like, not only do they release a new song, they announce a U.S. arena tour. You can sign up for pre-sale for tickets. You can pre-order their new vinyl album that's coming out on May 9th. And, like, there's just so much. It's like, and. Like, they just do such a good job promoting everything that they do by also not doing a lot for a while. Like they'll just go silent. Like they don't explain anything. There's no constant flow of content from them. Yeah, it's great.
They're doing their thing. They're on tour. They're making music. They're relaxing, and then when the time is right, they come back.
And when they're promoting, all they're saying is like prepare, obtain, worship. Like it's just simple things. Like they're not going through and explaining everything. I really like everything that they're doing there. And then so I've got two other jams like visually. One is
Orb.
The last episode's out today, baby. You knew it. Like you knew I was coming in with that.
I'm about to binge it today. I have no editing plan.
Show
I'm binge it.
Keeps building steam in the anime community as a classic. The same way that like some of the more deep cut like I feel like there's a very shallow version of anime culture that exists within pop culture, and it's like the My Hero Academia, Naruto, like the people who grew up watching, like shonen anime is like pop anime, right? Like One Piece, and a lot of us love those. There's no discredit to any of those, but then when you get into like really deep, artful, meaningful anime with like that's just constantly digging into the human condition, you get shows like Monster, Death Parade, like all these shows that like, and I feel like when you go to an anime convention, have you ever been to one?
Mm-mm.
Like you can recognize like the deep geeks, like because they're cosplaying as characters from these shows, and like you're like, oh, that's a good cut, you did a good job with that one, like Psycho-Pass. And Monster is one that I think falls in the same category as Orb, because it's more about the human condition than it is about anything else. And every week, I swear to God, there's like another anime content creator that's like discovering the show and tapping into it. And it's like the conversation around it. I mean, even Giguk came out and was like, "This is one of the best animes that's been out in like a long time." And the last episode of I Hope What's Only This Season comes out today. But even if it's the last episode period, that only makes it better. Like it's either
like a limited kind of thing.
Yeah, it's either going to be the last episode of the series or it's going to be the last episode of this season. I love it.
Win-win.
And then the other one, and we can chat about this real quick and then we'll wrap it up. Deli Boys. I fucking love this show.
Did you finish it?
I did not. I finished it. Well, I don't have a lot of time, right?
No, I'm just saying. I've been watching it. I watched it the day it dropped, and I binged like 5 episodes, and then I just watched the other 5 throughout the week. Really good.
I'm on episode 3. I watched the first 2 episodes. This show's phenomenal.
It's so funny too.
We need more shows like this. It's funny. There's a little bit of intrigue to it, but it's all comedy. Like it kind of reminds me of my favorite season of television that's ever existed, Patriot Season 1. That is like my favorite live-action season of television ever. Did you ever see Patriot?
I've heard of it.
You should watch it. It's the best, period. Like, I think it is the best single season of television that has ever existed. And honestly, even if like it never got a second season, that still would have been phenomenal. But Deli Boys is kind of reminding me of that in more of like a Pulp Fiction way. Like it's very pulpy, you know, like there's some action, there's some intrigue, there's some death, violence, but it's all pervaded with this comedy of like the unlikely brother duo teaming up to do something together.
The smart one and the drug one. And for I guess what the show's about,
the smart one and the drug one.
these brothers inherit their dad's. Their dad gets killed. Or dies
in a very funny way in the first episode.
In the face with a golf ball.
In the first like 10 minutes. Like it's amazing.
And I knew it was coming at some point. I just didn't know it was going to be a golf ball. I thought he was just going to get shot. Like I thought he was going to get taken out by like a rival gang or something. But no, just golf ball to the temple, and then
and it's some random white dude in the background too.
And
he's like, "Oh my god!" Like,
yeah,
it's just so funny.
And they had to take over the crime business that is fronted by a like convenience store.
Yeah,
essentially, and it's very good. It's very funny. I really I like shows that subvert my expectations, and what it reminds me of is that show Interior Chinatown that I watched not too long ago. Where you think it's going to be one thing. Like I thought that this show was going to be about them running the deli and like the stuff they got into on a daily basis, right? It doesn't do that. It's
Nope.
them
It's a
not
crime
running
thriller.
the deli. It's them doing all the other stuff to keep the business going. So I like when a show's like, here's a premise and here's what it looks like it's going to do, but here's what it's actually going to do.
I also love how the dad remains a character in the show.
Yeah, he does
they
throughout the whole season too.
Because they keep showing, like, they keep finding
Baba.
out other things about him, right? Like, they
Oh, it
keep,
gets
like, and
better,
so,
too.
like, so there's little, like, advertisements that he's done or training videos,
little
and, like,
green
they're
screen
playing them.
videos.
Yeah. Like, as they're playing them, you're like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking psychopath.
He's an idiot,
Like,
but I
it's
love
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
really
Deli Boys is definitely up there. I would say Deli Boys it does a lot of like really good nods to other crime thrillers too. Like they're giving little nods to like Breaking Bad along the way and stuff. And like
There's some
it's not a
Sopranos
full
references in there.
like it's not a full on like hit you over the head reference. It's like, oh yeah, all right, cool, that's good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's it for the podcast this week. Unless you have anything else to say, Odie, do you have anything else to say? Oh, wow. Poignant.
That's all
Love
I had
it.
to say.
Thank you for showing up for another episode of the UnPop podcast. I am your Capitan signing off as always. If you have any questions, comments about our mental health, or would like us to podcast live at your funeral, please email mysecretpoweris@gmail.com. We will show up at your funeral. We will podcast. It'll be hilarious and also heartfelt. We might even give you a eulogy. Who knows? Art by Frank Ace. Music by moi. Make sure that you're checking out Magnum Opus. That video on Space Jam: A New Legacy is fucking hilarious.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a lovely one. See you next week.
Bye.